This show has always been about America and just old school common sense. It's not about left or right. He called a lid at 10 a.m. today. It's more about right or wrong. It's about cutting through the noise and finding the truth. It's uncomfortable talking about all of this stuff. Finding things we have in common, not what divides us. It's about we the people. We do news. We do sports. We do entertainment. And we have a damn good time in the process.
This is my show. Disco out today. My favorite person on the planet, Krista, is in doing some TDing for us. Tom is here with me remotely, and we're going to wrap this week up the way that we always try and do it, with some fun. I got to just tell you a side story, though. So I won't mention names. A friend comes by the studio just before the show, literally left 15 minutes ago. Brought some of his friends and potential new friends and partners and collaborators and whatnot. And they're from out of town. And, he's like, hey, what's a good coffee shop for us to go just have a meeting? Because they're all going to go do their thing. They just wanted to see the studio and whatnot. Like, well, I don't go to that many spots. There's a couple that I had in mind, and I forgot the name of the one that I know they'd like. So I didn't tell them that one, but I verbalized all this to them. But I was like, I know if you go up here and you take a right and you go down 5 minutes, there's one there. I was like, I don't know the politics of this place. I don't know, because they're like, we don't want a Starbucks or something like that. So I send them to this one, and I just get a picture before, and the dude who I just met is eating a muffin, and hanging on the wall behind him is a pride flag. So I failed. I failed on my recommendation. I did caveat it. I said I didn't know, what was going to be there, but I'm gonna catch some heat for that. Tom, how's your day going?
My day's going well. It is lovely here. It's a bit overcast, but we're having a very mild summer. Next week it starts to heat up a little bit, but it's very nice here.
Okay, I like it. Are you ready to talk about some sports?
I am.
Some Ozempic, some national security, some all sorts of stuff. How do you take your Ozempic?
In the rear.
In the rear, yeah. It's advisable.
It's somebody like myself who, is a middle-aged man who, has got a little bit of extra around, the midsection. It does seem rather appealing, but like everything else, I kind of want to know what the effects are going to be before I start injecting things,
Right? Yeah. Tom, that makes way too much sense. Just put it in you. That's what everyone else does. In so many ways. No, I agree. Well, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Blinken and the Biden administration, who are giving all sorts of money to Palestine. You heard that correct. They already have. That's not a new thing, but they're giving lots more to Palestine. So we'll talk about that. We've got, like I said, some sports stuff. It's Thursday. We've got a crap ton of memes. I'm talking to Krista before, a little embarrassed because I hold Krista this high standard, and then I see some of the memes we're going to talk about today, and it's like, this is going to hurt our relationship. But it's going to be fun. We're going to have a good day. Before we get to all that stuff, though, guys, I told you yesterday I had some exciting news for you, and I do, because there's this new and just bear with me for a second. This is going to sound salesy and whatnot, and it is a sponsor. It is a partnership, 100%, just to be fully transparent with you. But you all have heard, and we've got a great partner in Genesis Gold Group. You've all heard the pitches for precious metals, gold and silver. I highly advise talking to them and doing that. You're going to hear me continue to talk about them because they're great partners, they're great people. But sometimes you don't want to have the sales call. Sometimes you don't want to fill out the form. Sometimes you don't want to do some of the things, right? And this new product is it's going to totally disrupt everything in there, because people want to have gold and silver, right? Having gold and silver bars or coins available is great for protecting your wealth. But if you don't have like a hacksaw or something, there's no way that you can really distribute it if it ever gets that bad. Hey, it's going to cost you this. Okay, well, I've got this big bar. What do you do? Well, that's why we're excited to introduce PrepperBarNow.com. The link is in the description. We'll put it up. You can see it on the screen there, right there, PrepperBarNow.com. This disruptive new product allows you to carry wealth in your wallet. You heard me right, in your wallet. Now, you don't have to. You can keep it in your safe. You can keep it somewhere safe and secure at your home, your office, whatever the case might be. But these are perforated gold and silver bars, and they allow you to detach smaller denominations should you need to trade, buy, barter, whatever the case might be with them. And they range from 1.5 grams up to 7.7 grams, meaning the pieces that you break off there. PrepperBarNow.com is not prepper food. As I just described, it's prepper wealth, and it's protection in these great times. So go to PrepperBarNow.com. These things are so cool. I've known about them for a while because I know the folks behind it, and I've been excited because it's just so new. It's so unique. The price point's lower. And here's the great news, guys. There's no pressure. Like I said, there's no sales call. There's none of that. You go on to PrepperBarNow.com, and you look at the products, and then you buy it or you don't buy it. But I think you're going to see that these are pretty darn cool. The gold are sold out already, back order, but you can get notified. The silver's there. You can get discount pricing as you buy more. So check it out. It's awesome. Again, it's PrepperBarNow.com. You're welcome. I think this is a pretty amazing product. We're excited to actually push it. Sometimes you have things where you're like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll do it. I agree with it, but ads are ads, products are products. This one's pretty awesome. So check it out. PrepperBarNow.com. You can see the link in the description, or you can see it there at the bottom of the screen. Okay.
Drew, I just want to piggyback off that with the short little story about myself and how gold like that helped me out. I was doing a shoot for History Channel in Democratic Republic of Congo, ended up getting arrested for spying, then was later implicated in a murder, which I had nothing to do with, me and my sound guy. And the whole town of Goma was coming after us, and right. the executive producer of our show was with us, and he was a former Green Beret, former SF. And before we left, because this shoot was all over the continent of Africa in several different countries, he purchased $10,000 in gold and got them in small increments that were approximately $800 to $1,000 a piece.
Okay.
So he got with the chief of police and sort of negotiated, kind of safe passage out of there. But he told them that we were leaving on a Friday. We ended up leaving on a Wednesday. Our boss, used those pieces of gold to bribe our way through the airport so we could get out of there and get to Kenya. So I'm a big proponent of having smaller pieces of gold like that.
100%.
In my situation, it got me out of a hostile country that wanted to keep me.
Yeah. PrepperBarNow.com. PrepperBar, B-A-R, now, N-O-W.com. Go check it out. And look, it's wise. One of the best pieces of advice I ever got traveling to all the glorious garden spots that I went to overseas was make sure you've got some cash on you. Because we would transit all around, right? We're in all sorts of spots, not like doing an operation. I'm not saying it's not smart to have it then too, but like when you're traversing the country or going to pick up an asset or going to do X, Y, or Z, have money on you, because in these corrupt nations, you got to bribe yourself out. So I didn't have a gold pieces like you guys did. I could now with PrepperBarNow.com, but smart to always have that in a third world country, because the shit hits the fan pretty quick there. And money talks. The Mavericks, Tom, we both said 4-2. They were going to win the series. They're down 3-0. No team in NBA history has come back from being down 3-0 in the series. And here's what's crazy, that we're going to show this clip from this guy here in a second. I forget his name. Brian Windhorst. But they were down big, And then they go on like the Mavericks do, like this 22-2 run. You and I are texting as it's happening. I don't think Disco's watching the game, so he's like, "What's happening? But we're in there. We're having this conversation, and they come back. They come back within 1 point, and Luka Doncic, their stud Slovenian mobster basketball player, fouls out of the game. Was complaining like a whiny little bitch the whole game, like he always does. Does again in the end. Yells at his coach after he gets the last foul, wanting a challenge." But before we talk about the game for a couple minutes, I want to show this clip because Scott Van Pelt had on Brian Winders from ESPN, all of this ESPN stuff. After the game, we'll probably get flagged on YouTube, whatever, I don't care. Because I love how hard to the hoop this Joker goes on Luka after the game in response to his foul. Let's take a listen to this clip and then we'll discuss.
That Luka fell onto the ground there in an unacceptable position to put himself in with 4 minutes left with 5 fouls, and then immediately looks at the bench and says, "You better bleeping challenge it," as if it's the bench's fault that he just made a terrible play. I'm standing here in the Mavericks tunnel. Over there is the Celtics tunnel. That's where the winners are. If Luka's ever going to be a winner coming out of this tunnel here, he is going to have to use what's happened in this finals as a learning experience. His defensive performance is unacceptable. He is a hole on the court. The Celtics are attacking him. They are ahead in this series because they have attacked him defensively. And you've got a situation here where Luka is complaining about the officiating. They have begged him. They have talked with him. They have pleaded with him. He is costing his team because of how he treats the officials. He's a brilliant player. He does so many things well. They are here because of how he did. His performance in this game is unacceptable and the reason why the Mavericks are not going to win. He's got to get over this. And the fact that he came out after the game and blamed the officials showed me he's nowhere close yet. So maybe over the summer somebody will get to him because nobody with the Mavericks or anybody else in his life has. And that's where the Mavericks are at this point. They're never going to get to this tunnel with the trophy if he doesn't improve those aspects of his game.
Wow. I mean, I love that he just basically, I called him a bitch. He basically said the same thing, but in linear television form where you can't say those things unless you're Pat McAfee, God bless you, who will just say whatever he thinks. But I love that he's like, that's the tunnel for winners, and you're in this one over here. The dude straight up roasted him.
He did roast him, but he is your stereotypical sports reporter, broadcaster, announcer, personality, whatever you want to call him. Right. That I harbor so much contempt and hatred for because
fair point.
They get on these soapboxes. Sports reporters and announcers are the original Karens. And this guy, yeah, Luka has his own style of play. You could say he's a baby and this and that. But, who's this guy to say that Luka has to change his game to somehow, he needs to show respect for the game and his sportsmanship. You know what? Shut up. Just shut up, fat boy. Don't even go there. And one of the announcers, just going back to my contempt for them, I view sports broadcasters and reporters the same way I do tobacco lobbyists. I have that much contempt for them.
Okay.
This one, I had to write this down when I was watching the game last night. Mike Green, who's calling the game, was referring to somebody as an ethical scorer. And,
what does that mean?
Course, well, that was a supposed dig of Luka, trying to lean in to draw the foul. So somehow that's unethical. Ethical means that, you stand there, you take your jump shot, and you don't try to draw any fouls. So for these guys to start criticizing somebody else's style of play, it's like when, in the 1920s and people got up in arms that Newt Rockne was doing the forward pass, or they were upset at Randall Cunningham because, he wasn't your typical drop back and stay in the pocket. He had the ability to scramble.
He's using his feet.
Yeah, that's not fair. He's able to run for the first down. He's not a pure passer. He does all these things that, Joe Theismann couldn't do. It's just like, give me a break, man.
Yeah, no, so I agree, and I've loved your little soliloquy here and your rant. I thought it was amazing. It's so far made my day. I think we can get off and just end the show. We've had your getting arrested in Africa story and what we just experienced. Be safe, be smart, be free. But I agree. The dude who's talking, I don't know a thing about him. He seems like he's Brian Stelter in a sports reporter outfit. Not the end all be all for commenting on sports, but I do agree. The reason I played it is Luka drives me crazy. One, and I've told you this because he knocked out the Timberwolves. So once you're not on my team, you're not just kind of like an enemy. Like, I don't want anything good to ever happen to you again. And Luka's now in that camp. But I really don't like how he's always complaining, and he has this pouty, just like, I want to punch you in the face look on his face all the time. I don't like it. He's an absolute stud. If he was on my team, which I would love for that to be the case, I would defend his stupid looking face, and I would defend his whining and bitching. But he's not on my team, so I don't like it.
Right. So what you're saying is he's your Bill Laimbeer, as Bill Laimbeer was to me in the 90s going up against the Bulls.
Yeah.
With
sure.
that whiny, pouty face, trying to get into fights, trying to draw fouls, trying to take people off their game.
Well, yes, and not only that, I've said this before, and then we'll move on, because I know not everyone cares about the NBA Finals. But it breaks my brain. Like, you look at him, like, you see him wrapped up the other day before. Like, he's got an ace bandage on his quad, his ankle, his head. It's like just everywhere. He looks like he's in a freaking World War II trauma ward. And he's out there warming up. And then he comes out and, the tearaway pants come off and the game's starting. And do they still do tearaways? Because those were always so cool. But
they're the best.
But the game's starting. And he just looks like this average. He looks like an insurance salesman, and then he just freaking dominates, and it just angers me. I like things to fit in boxes. Like, you look like a very impressive athlete, and then you see this, and you're like, you look like you work at Napa Auto Parts. No judgment to you guys at Napa. I'm sure you do a great job, but then you see it, and it's like, no, this doesn't work, and we just lost to that son of a bitch.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. He looks like an insurance salesman who's playing basketball at the Y during his lunch break.
Yeah.
It drives people insane.
It really does. I don't like how much it drives me insane. Let's move on from it. Tonight, if you're looking for some sports activity or action, the Game 3 of the Stanley Cup Finals happening in Edmonton. You might get a peep show from the one very famous lady now, if you're lucky. Connor McDavid and crew there need to get things going. The Panthers have been dominant. I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm actually going to a movie before it, so I'm going to get the second half of it. I'm going to finally go see Bad Boys with part of the family tonight. But the Panthers coming in hot, but it is going to be different. Edmonton, a very hostile environment. They know that their backs are against the wall. This is going to be an interesting game. I've got to believe that Edmonton finds a way to get it done. Otherwise, they might be done.
Yeah, they have no choice. Their back is against the wall, and I think that the way that they've been playing, Florida just seemed so dominant to begin with. But I think now that their back is against the wall and this being a must-win situation for them, that we're going to see a different Edmonton team come out, and they most likely will come away with the victory.
Yeah, I think so too. There's no segue for this next story. But there was a dude outside of, I believe, a polling station it was. This is local news, so settle in for really good production value. But there's a dude who was dressed in a ninja outfit, causing quite the stir. Let's listen to the report, then we'll discuss.
Crime alert this afternoon. A man is accused of firing a weapon and causing an Horry County polling place to lock down during yesterday's elections. Police responded near Midland Elementary School along Nichols Highway and Gallifins Ferry around 12:30 in the afternoon, where Cody Akins is accused of shooting a gun within 75 feet of the school while wearing a, quote, all-black ninja-style costume. The suspect allegedly told police he was firing at a target in his backyard, which was near the polling place. But investigators say there was nothing behind the target to stop bullets or prevent ricochets. Akins is charged with reckless discharge of a firearm, and he's out of jail this afternoon after posting a $500 bond.
So there was a story that went along with it, and one of the quotes in it was all black ninja style costume, talking about the dude. All black ninja style costume, wielding a sword with a revolver type handgun in his waistband. This guy is obviously a fool, but in the same breath, legendary. I mean, you're an adult, and even okay, look, even if his version of the story is true, and you're doing cosplay and shooting in your backyard, one, you do need to always know, what's around, what's behind your target, all of that, all the basic gun safety rules. But more importantly, you're an adult dressing up as a ninja with a sword and a firearm going to do playtime in your backyard. I don't know that he's married, but how do you explain that one to your spouse? Honey, I'm just gonna be in the backyard. What are you doing? Just guy stuff.
Well, he's the type of guy that when he comes home, he pretends to clear rooms to make sure that there's nobody in there, or pretending that he's on some sort of op, to rescue a hostage or something. That's the kind of like cosplay that I see with somebody like this. But one thing that I'm really surprised that this story didn't mention were a couple of things. One, he's known to the FBI, and two, the FBI is looking over his manifesto.
Right. No doubt. No doubt. There's a lot. We could honestly peel the onion back on this story the whole episode, but we have a crap ton of memes to get to and some other stories. So the internet's kind of breaking right now because Logan Paul, who's obviously a very famous influencer on social media, podcaster, now the U.S. champion in World Wrestling Entertainment, WWE, he's done really quite well for himself in WWE. I had some issues with it when it first happened, when dudes, chicks, whoever, when people come in and they do their one-off things like this is a stupid, publicity stunt. I know people are like the whole thing's publicity, it's all fake. I get it, but there's people who do it for a living, and then you have people who come in from the outside and they dip their toe in and they get out and they get their moment in the sun. He's actually stuck around and been a very interesting character. But people are pissed because he was meeting with Trump and they recorded a podcast. And then this footage came out. Here's the first one. You can see Logan's United States Championship in the background. And where are we? Yo, I'm scared. So there's the first clip. We'll just show the second clip, and this is Trump giving out some swag to Logan Paul, and then we'll discuss.
For you guys.
Oh, no way. We got gifts.
Oh, nice. Sells for a lot of money, this thing.
Oh, no way. Thank you, President.
Here you go. Let's split it up. Here's
amazing. This is this your mugshot?
Yeah, can you move it?
No way. You're a gangster.
This is what we're reduced to.
No way. No way.
Should we put them on now? Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's amazing.
And it sells. Well, Elvis had one. Frank Sinatra had one.
This shirt.
But we've eclipsed them. A long time ago, we've eclipsed them.
I haven't seen the stats, but I'm quite sure he probably has. But people are losing their mind. I saw tweets out there of people, liberals and whoever, but mostly libs, melting down and slamming Logan Paul, and people calling on Triple H, who's the chief of creative content content officer over at WWE. He needs to be stripped of his title, just because they're so offended that he met with Trump. Well, here's one. If you're doing a podcast, you're doing any kind of television, entertainment, whatever the case might be, and you can land an interview with Trump, you do it, right? Because that's going to be super beneficial. And here's the other thing that's pissing the left off. So, one, they can't understand that why anyone would like Trump or vote for Trump or talk to Trump or interview Trump. So that's ruining their day. But the ones who are smarter, who are still mad, are pissed because Logan Paul has 18.5 million followers on TikTok, 27 million on Instagram. And you know what most of his audience is? What demo it is? 18 to 24. Having conversations like this happen if you're on the other side, is potentially devastating. Potentially devastating, and at minimum, just entertaining for us to sit back and laugh as everyone loses their mind over just, I mean, who cares how Logan Paul feels politically, or maybe he doesn't, maybe he's just, I don't know, but the fact that people get so mad so fast over something like this is remarkable to me.
Well, the left are emotional hemophiliacs, and if something doesn't go their way, they want to shut down and take their ball and go home.
Yeah.
Trump, you could love him or hate him, he is one of the most prolific figures of our lifetime, just based on his presidency, what's going on post-presidency, and him making another run to regain the presidency. He is a legitimate historical figure, and anybody who has any type of platform would be smart to have him on there. This whole thing of, silencing people. If we don't like what someone says, we have to deplatform them. What are you doing putting them on? It's
right.
all this, you can't say something or else we're going to punish you. And that's what the left is all about, and they're just not fun. Who wants to be around that? I don't care if you want to sit down with the Merchant of Death and have an interview with him. I'll listen to what he has to say. I don't agree with him. I'm, quite offended that, he was a part of, selling weapons to bad guys in Colombia that were going to kill Americans. I don't dig that, but I'm not going to ignore the fact that he is a prolific person in history, and if a journalist or somebody with any kind of a platform wants to talk to him, by all means, talk to him. Yeah. If I don't like it, I won't listen, but if I'm interested, I'll listen.
Yeah. No, but that sounds a little too common sense, Tom, if you're asking me. I'd love to get both of them. I'd love to get Trump on. We could get Victor Bout. Siri, call Victor Bout. That would be great. I'd love to have that conversation. Any of it. I'm interested. That's the thing, and that's what's so weird about society now is, there are some I don't want to talk to who are just vile people. Like, what's the dude, former Hollywood dude, never really did much. Is it Jeff Tedrick?
Oh yeah.
Like, just the angriest, most vile person ever. Say, I have no interest in talking to you because you're just scummy. Keith Olbermann, same thing. Like, they're in the same bin. You're miserable. You hate yourself. You project that onto everyone else. There's no conversation that's going to be happening here. I'm generally happy and thrilled about the idea of having constructive conversation with people with different opinions. I think it's pretty darn healthy and it's interesting. I don't go into it personally like most people do, where it's like, I'm going to get them. I'm going to back them into a corner. I'm going to trick them and I'm going to flip them. Like, stop it. Like, who goes into a conversation that way? Like, that sounds like something I would do in my old job. I'm going to manipulate the shit out of this situation. We're going to flip this person, and if we don't, we're going to kill their family. Like, stop it. Like, that's not how you operate. And we rarely did family stuff. But that's hard. You don't, like, that's not how you operate in normal life.
Well, that's what the left does. Whenever you see the left talking about the upcoming election, especially anybody at CNN or at MSNBC, if they're talking to somebody who's a Republican or is just sort of a center person, but they'll say, will you accept the results of the election? And if they start articulating their answer, they're like, yes or no. Is it yes or no? Will you accept it? Will you accept it? Yes or no? And it's like, shut up.
Right.
Just shut up. Everybody, half the country hates you, and they really hate and disrespect the way that you ask questions and engage with people, because all you're doing is making the one half of the country that already dislikes you hate you even more.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Absolutely. It's so true. And people will say, like, oh, but you guys pick on Biden all the time and you pick on this person and that person. Well, this is a show, and we're here sharing opinions and creating, entertainment and doing all these things. But if you walked up into the studio, first of all, announce yourself, because it might go poorly. But if you did and you had different opinions, it wouldn't be like you're such an idiot for voting for that person. No, it'd be a normal conversation. Get yourself a drink. Make sure you tip the bartender. And then let's sit down and have a conversation, and it would be totally normal. Like, it's not that our opinions change or our values change off air, But the way that things are presented and discussed certainly is. I mean, we don't browbeat the piss out of people to make them feel awful. That's just not what normal people do. But that's what a lot of the people on the other side do. That's for damn sure. And we've got them on our side too.
Right. For the most part, the left is devoid of humor, and they're devoid of sarcasm.
Right.
The case in point, you saw it yesterday. I sent out a tweet where it was somebody holding a pistol in the foreground and a submarine in the background, and
yes.
I put something like Floridians, be like this with a Russian sub. And some of the comments that are getting were like, oh, does that really look like 90 miles to you? It's like, or do you really think that, that pea shooter hitting a submarine is going to do anything? And it's like, you don't get it.
Yeah.
We could never be friends. It's
right.
It's an old Florida man joke. Whenever there's a hurricane, you always see the memes. Please do not shoot at the hurricane.
right. No, yeah. But
that just goes to show you when you don't have humor and you take everything so seriously because it's either it's us against them, and I'm the virtuous one. I'm righteous. Your humor is dead, and then you become a kind of a soulless NPC that just sort of walks around, wallowing in their own misery.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. Don't raise your hand with this. I can't see it anyways. This is a digital platform, or you're listening in your car. But raise your hand in your mind if you're taking Ozempic or Mounjaro or one of those other ones that are out there doing similar stuff. By the way, we're talking to someone next week who's got a natural version that won't hurt you in the process. That's going to come on the show. That'll be next Wednesday. But this whole fad, right, is gotten out of control. And you know that there's going to be concerns when it essentially is that. It's essentially a fad. Like, this is a new health fad. How did your friend or your neighbor lose so much weight so fast? It's like, well, we all know the answer. Like, they're shooting themselves up with Ozempic. And everyone, like, but like, do you have any concerns with it? Are there any question marks that are left over? And everyone deep down does. But everyone's like, yeah, but because we live in this keeping up with the Joneses world, right? Well, our neighbors are down 2 gene sizes, so we've got to do it too. And then all of a sudden, everyone's just, sticking it in there. And I don't even know if that's how you apply it, to be honest with you. But that's what you're doing. And everyone's doing it. And no one is asking any questions about the viability of it, the long-term health consequences. And anyone who's looking from the sidelines is like, okay, look, I'm intrigued. It's an interesting proposition. Who doesn't love a magic pill? But it's brand spanking new. People are having success, and we're not concerned about the long term. And maybe some people are, and they're just doing it anyways because they're that vain. I don't know. But who wouldn't love to fight gravity harder and age harder? I don't have time to do a lot of the things I would like to do for myself anymore. It would be great if there was a magic pill that was healthy and wasn't going to hurt you. But we all know that there's concerns with this, and if you're taking it and it's working for you, that's awesome, and I hope that it continues to work for you and you have no health complications. But you understand the point that something comes out of nowhere, everyone's having success, and people are like, well, where's the data behind this? Well, it's not really, we don't really have any. It's just seems to be working, so like just keep going. And that's what's going on with it. Well, now there's over 10,000 lawsuits apparently against Ozempic, Mounjaro, and I don't even know how you say it. Is it Wegovy? Wegovy? I don't know how you say it. I've never heard of that one. But there are a bunch of lawsuits now against them because you've got people who in doing this, I know this doesn't sound like Big Pharma, but have failed to adequately, this is a quote, failed to adequately warn of the associated risks. Shocking. Shocking. You have a female who had her gallbladder removed 7 months after starting Ozempic. You had someone who was diagnosed with stomach paralysis after taking Mounjaro. You have all these different things that are happening, and I get it. It can happen to anyone. It can happen with anything. You you take Tylenol and you get a headache and then you're pregnant, and whatever. I don't think that's happened. But things can happen with anything. But when you see it in mass, like you did with something else, which we won't refer to, but when you see it with something else and then you see it with this and you see it repeating, I just, to me, like, it's just this. As soon as it came onto the scene and I saw everyone starting to do it, and maybe it's just because I'm an isolationist now and I don't really like talking to people or doing what other people do anymore, but my alarm bells went off. I don't know about you, Tom. They just did. And I saw success. We've all seen success. There's some people who look amazing from it, but this doesn't. All that's to say, it doesn't surprise me at all that we're seeing these lawsuits now, and I think that there's going to be more and more coming.
Yeah, well, first of all, I think that, if you're going the Ozempic route, I think it's fat phobic because we're supposed to be into body positivity now.
Yes.
And if you're going to, change the person that you are, you should probably think twice about it. But that being said, you're right. I, for one, don't like trends. Whatever the trendy thing is that people are doing, I stay away from it like the plague because it's gonna play itself out. It's gonna look dumb, and years from now, you're gonna look at pictures and go, oh my God, was I really on rollerblades? And the answer is going to be yes, until somebody made one joke, and that joke, got legs, and all of a sudden rollerblading is dead.
Right.
But, with the Ozempic thing, I'm kind of old school when it comes to losing weight. I prefer to, try and eat less, not drink as much or at all, and then go out and run until I throw up. That seems to work best for me in trying to lose weight. Turning to the pharmaceutical industry as a way to help lose weight or to get healthy, I would second guess that only because of the list of side effects that you hear at the end of the Ozempic commercial or any other
commercial,
pharmaceutical that comes out. I would, I'd be a bit leery, and I'm also a bit leery about, Oprah Winfrey's sudden loss in weight, and now she's in the hospital with some undisclosed stomach problem.
Yeah. No, it's just well, and this leads us to our question of the day today. So let's get into that because I'm seeing people chat about this here, and for those of you listening, wherever you're consuming the show, I'm sure there's thoughts, percolating in your mind with this. But the question is this: we've obviously had a huge loss of trust and a huge loss of credibility with Big Pharma, and it's not just Big Pharma; it's big food. It's big everything. It's our government in general. But the question is this: is it even possible at this point to trust Big Pharma again? Can they ever regain trust, whether it's with a weight loss product or if they were to come out with when we were talking about this with the folks who were here at the studio before the show today, if they were to come out with a treatment and a cure for cancer, do you trust the people who are giving it to you? I'm not saying would you try it or not, because when you're desperate, and I get that. But would you trust Big Pharma? Can they be trusted ever again? By the way, I'm not going to get into it, but that's the question. Can they regain the trust of the people at any point? We'll get to your answers here in a second. Real quick, while you're sending your responses in, America's food supply is under attack. We know it. You're feeling it. Beef is the primary target. You're seeing it with chickens and eggs and all that stuff right now. But beef has long been the target, and they're coming after it for sure next. Okay? I mean, they are now, but next in a big haul. So it behooves Americans, it behooves you, everyone watching, everyone listening, to stock up on long-term storage beef, and we have the solution. Prepper Beef, preparewithbeef.com, which is our partner with Prepper Beef, is a veteran-owned company that sells premium steaks, American steaks, raised in Texas with a 25-year shelf life. There's ribeye, there's New York strip, tenderloin, sirloin. They don't sell the beef crumbles or beef chunks that other survival food companies offer. At preparewithbeef.com, my listeners can take 25% off with promo code RVM. Okay, so RV is in Victor M. Stock up now before cricket burgers become the next big thing. You're going to want beef. And here's the thing. You don't need freezer space for it. I'll bring it. I have some bags at the house. I'll bring it in and show you how small and compact they are because it's freeze-dried, sous vide. The bag is like this big, and you've got a ton of beef in there. And who doesn't love beef? Terrorist. But let's get back to the question of the day. Is it possible for Big Pharma to ever regain the trust of the American people? Tom, what do you – I mean, I know your answer. But this is more of a conversation than I expect different answers.
As far as I'm concerned, no, because of how we were lied to about that thing that happened 4 years ago that we can't talk about on YouTube or else you get demonetized.
Right.
So based on that thing that happened and how the medical industry rallied around Big Pharma and was goading everybody and shaming people into taking their product that they knew wasn't ready for prime time yet. And I think for a lot of people, it's going to be a long time before they ever trust them again.
Yeah. No, I think so too. I think it's just we said it yesterday, and it's an old adage. You hear it as a kid, and you tell your kids, you tell it with adults, you experience it with adults, is once you've broken that trust, it's really hard to get back. It's not impossible. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it's really hard. And if there's not a personal connection there, then it's damn near impossible. And when you're talking about big pharma, big food, big government, all of these things, I don't see how you do either. I just don't. And as I mentioned, I don't know if it was yesterday or whenever it was, if you break your leg in a car accident, by all means go see a doctor. We're not being anti-doctor or anti-all of Western medicine. We're anti-aspects of it and anti-big pharma for sure. But there is a place for them, for absolutely. And we all know. My father was a doctor, and we all know people who are amazing and have the best intentions. And then there's some that don't have that same part. Everyone's saying no, my financial, no, absolutely never again, no trust. No, you can't trust anything anymore except for Drew and crew. Amen, Andy. No trust in Big Pharma. I ain't eating no bugs, says Barb. Yeah, so I think it's a pretty resounding no on that one. And again, it's sad. I wish it was a different case. I wish we had institutions that we could trust, because I tell you what, it felt a whole lot better when you were eating your hot dog and beans, blowing shit up on the 4th of July, having brats. Hopefully you're having brats too, and burgers and all of that. Knowing that your country, or feeling like your country was in lockstep with each other and all shared the same values. I love that day. I'm gonna be on break for that day this year. I'll tell you about that in a second. But I love that day. I just wish that as you're biting into that burger, like, I wish my government didn't hate me. Like, I mean, it's just it takes on a different feeling.
Yeah, it really does. I love 4th of July. It's one of my favorite holidays for the reasons that you just said. Drinking beers, barbecuing, fireworks, all that fun stuff.
Right.
And, as you're right, it's just like, am I really celebrating a day in a country where my own government actively hates me and is, has bought off, is captured all big business who are actively either trying to kill me or take my property or somehow take away my First and Second Amendment rights? It's kind of like, actually, you know what? Now that I'm talking about it and thinking it through, I like the day even more, because that's what the day is all about. Is about
rebellion, pushing back. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. No, I think it should be. Don't actually take this advice, but eat. I'm a brat guy. Have hot dogs for the kids, but if you're an adult, you grow up and now you eat brats. Okay, there's a time where you just pass that mark. And you'll know it when it hits. It's like when your balls drop, like you just it happens. But you eat that, you double fist some beers, and then you double bird all the people who are trying to hold you back. and you do it in a red, white, and blue Speedo because you can. Okay? Your belly's hanging over now. But we were talking about this the other day. If you're fit and wearing a Speedo, that's stupid. Like, you need to be like Bert Kreischer in a Speedo. Like, that is Chris Farley. That's when it's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're cut and you're wearing a Speedo, it's just like, what event are you competing in? Are you diving, or are you in the 500-meter relay or something?
You're a swimmer or you're gay. I mean, there's no in between on that. But if you're like 43 but look like you're 60, have a mustache, some 5 o'clock shadow, and just a huge beer belly, you might look great in a Speedo. I'm just saying. Own it. Your wife will love it. You're welcome. Okay. So I don't love this. I'm not surprised by this, but the Biden administration and Antony Blinken, one of the worst secretaries of state of all time, has announced that we're going to be sending an additional $404 million to Palestine. You heard that right, to Palestine, who is, well, we'll talk about it in a second. Here was Blinken talking about it here. Take a listen.
It is time for everyone to step up. And for those who have already given, and given generously, give more. The United States has for decades been the largest single country provider of assistance for Palestinians. Today, I'm announcing an additional $404 million in new aid to Palestinians, in addition to the more than $1.8 billion in development, economic, and humanitarian aid that the United States has provided since 2021.
So you can do that math. That's well over $2 billion in the last several years. But guys, let's just be clear about something. As I've said the whole time, there's a Palestinian or two out there who are good. There's good people in every bunch. There's bad people in every bunch. Some bunches have more bad people, but Palestine, you could be whatever your name is and a great person over there. But Palestine writ large is still harboring and has harbored terrorist organizations such as Hamas, who pulled off the heinous attacks on October 7th, everything since that day, and is still holding 5 Americans hostage. But this is 2024. This is Washington, D.C. This is our broken-ass government who's like, you know what, though? I mean, I think we should probably fund both sides of the war just so we can really keep this thing going. I mean, that's how notorious are we for that? People don't pay attention to it enough. They do more now than they ever have before. And I had fun running around doing wars. It was my favorite thing ever. But, which says something about me. But you look at this and you look at how America's like, all right, here we go. We got Hamas and Israel. Who are we going to side with here? Well, hold on. That's a complicated question, Joe. We're going to side with both of them, okay? We're going to give these guys a shit ton of money, and we're going to give these guys a shit ton of money. But that doesn't make sense, but it does, because you know who's going to make a shit ton of money? You. And that's what's happening.
Yeah, that's all that's happening, and it's been happening during World War II, post-World War II. You could even say that after World War I is when all this started. And if you want a historical perspective of how we got here, the book, The Devil's Chessboard, is a great book. It lays out how, big business and the military-industrial complex work hand in hand, and this is just another example of it. In World War II, you've got IBM, who created the punch cards for concentration camps, who they created the technology to make sure to have almost like a spreadsheet of Jews that were being killed. And then you also had Coca-Cola that came up with a whole new branding called Fanta that they sent over to the Nazis. So, American business has always played both sides of every war that there is. This is nothing new.
Yeah. No, it's not. And man, it's just so damn frustrating the more you learn about it. I still want to check that book out. I keep meaning to actually buy that book. I need to do it.
But to me, the more aggravating part of this whole thing is the fact that we hear, Blinken talking about billions and 400 million going to the Palestinians. And then we hear, another 600 million going to Ukraine. And everybody seems to have memory hold the fact that the people of Lahaina only got $700 from the government. It's just, It's nauseating to see how the government just really hates its own citizenry.
Yeah. Yeah. And the only nice thing is they've gotten so blatant with it that more people are seeing it. Not enough, but more people are seeing it to the point where I don't like using, I hate the term waking up, but it's waking up people more to the fact of the real crappy situation that we are in collectively as a country.
But it is waking up. People are starting to understand, Operation Mockingbird and what the news media has done to everybody. They, over the last 50 years, everybody has been brainwashed who looks to network news to get their news from, either on television, print, or online. If you go to the New York Times, the Washington Post, any cable news channel, it's all Operation Mockingbird. And before, in the very beginning of Operation Mockingbird, when the Church Commission came out on assassinations, the CIA came out and said that they had 400 journalists throughout the United States who were planning favorable stories in newspapers, in on television about what they wanted to push.
Right.
That number 400, we would be lucky if that's 400. Now I would say it's 99% of everybody that works in news, from local all the way up into the network. And so the whole waking up process is trying to realize that some people have been brainwashed and propagandized to the point where what they thought was real is not. It's totally the opposite of what they think is true now.
Yeah. Ginger saying, "Preach, Tom." Oh, he preaching. Boy, preaching. He's doing it. You know who else was let's switch to something a little more lighthearted. Then we're going to finish super lighthearted / inappropriate with That's Memetastic. But last night, Tom Brady was inducted into the Patriots Hall of Fame. Jersey retired. They're going to erect a statue outside of. I still want to say I want to call it Foxborough. But they're going to put a statue outside of the stadium. Tom gave a great speech, very humble, obviously the greatest of all time in terms of quarterback. You might, if you dislike him, you're like an AFC East foe, or someone who just is frustrated at how good he is and how he elevates all those around him. But his speech, the whole speech was outstanding. Here's just a little snippet, though, talking about how life is hard, how football's hard, and how people who are successful do hard things. Take a listen.
Encourage everyone to play football for the simple reason that it is hard. It's hard when you're young to wake up in the off season at 6 a.m. to go train and work out, knowing that all your friends are sleeping in and eating pancakes. It's hard when you're on your way to practice, weighed down with all your gear, and it's 90 degrees out and all the other kids are at the pool or at the beach, and your body is already completely exhausted from workouts and two-a-days. It's hard to throw, catch, block, and tackle, and hit kids when they're way bigger and way more developed than you, only to go home that night bruised and battered and strained, but knowing you have to show up again the next day for just the chance to try again. But understand this, life is hard. No matter who you are, there are bumps and hits and bruises along the way. And my advice is to prepare yourself, because football lessons teach us that success and achievement come from overcoming adversity, and that team accomplishment far exceeds anyone's individual goals. To be successful at anything, the truth is you don't have to be special. You just have to be what most people aren't. Consistent, determined, and willing to work for it. No shortcuts. If you look at all my teammates here tonight, it would be impossible to find better examples of men who embody that work ethic, integrity, purpose, determination, and discipline that it takes to be a champion in life.
Man, how good is that? That's just straight up awesomeness in 2 minutes right there. And it's so true. So true. I had just seen a post recently. My son's, a part of summer workouts now, coming up as a freshman. So we're up, and he obviously can't drive yet. So I'm taking him to morning workouts every day throughout the week, which I love because it's quality time with him. He's excited about it, but it's hard work. And I'd seen this post about a similar message to what Tom said there. But I mean, that was molto bene, huh?
Yeah, he's totally spot on. And, you're talking about being an AFC East guy, which I am, huge Miami Dolphins fans.
Right.
There was a period of time where I couldn't stand Tom Brady, but then you can't help not to like him. It's hard to hate on a guy that wins Super Bowls and at the time was married to a supermodel.
Right.
But even post his career, it's refreshing to see people like Tom come out with such a positive message and to be an inspiration to younger people.
Yeah, I love it. Well, and because Tom comes from, we're not the exact same age, but our collective generation where that was the mindset. And it's the same things. The principles are true. Consistency, just showing up and taking the suck, the stuff that's not fun and battling through it. All those things remain true today, but they're not taught as much. So I love him having the platform that he does. He's freaking Tom Brady sharing that message of like, you're going to get punched in the nuts. Get back up and keep doing it. And I love that because it's so freaking important. It really is, especially with the culture of these generations coming up. Like we have to have a whole lot more of that, and it seems like there's none of it. So it gives me hope that at least some people are sharing it.
Right, and for me, it's refreshing to see somebody say something like Tom Brady say something like that, because it reminds me of a scene from one of the greatest movies of all time, Rocky, the original, when the 14th round, Rocky gets knocked down, he can barely see out of his eyes. Apollo thinks that, he's finally knocked him out. Rocky gets up and he waves Apollo forward, and Apollo kind of shakes his head and has to re-engage. Yeah. It's the being knocked down, getting back up, and saying, I want more.
100%. Rest in peace, Carl Weathers. We miss you. You were a stud. Freaking cannons for arms. Golly. I mean, you could lick one of his biceps, and it would take you all day to get around. I don't know why you would do that, but, that's what came to mind, and that's why I'm broken, and that's why we're going to go into our last and final segment of the day. It's Thursday, and around these parts, we finish with a shit ton of memes, and that's what we're going to do today. That's Memetastic.
That's Memetastic.
That's Memetastic.
We should do that one more time.
Oh, we're going to, Shafi. So here's how we do it. You guys all kind of know the rules. But Krista's going to throw one up. Tom and I are going to discuss. Some of them will move faster past than others because we have so many that get sent in. We throw them in throughout the week. We still have some left over from when we were on break. So we will go through these and talk about them. Some funny, some serious, some I don't know even how to describe them. But let's put this first one up here. We've got someone holding a sign, although they're not really. It's all self-imposed or superimposed. In the 1980s, A&W. First of all, do you guys remember A&W stands?
Oh, yeah.
Because praise Jesus for them. Like, those were amazing. In the 1980s, A&W tried to compete with the McDonald's Quarter Pounder by selling a third of a pound burger at a lower cost. The product failed because most customers thought the Quarter Pound was bigger. This is why I don't argue online. Absolutely, this is a great message. This is a great message Most people aren't very smart, and you get so emotionally wrapped up and entangled. I can't believe you just said that to me on Twitter. First of all, stop. If you're saying, I can't believe you said this or that to you or anyone on Twitter, you're already a long ways off the mark. But I thought that was a good one. Okay, next one. This one's definitely misogynistic, but or whatever it is. I don't remember it, but I remember it has to do with females. Husband leaning in, talking to the waitress. Oh my, aren't you pretty? Talking to the waitress. Why, thank you, sir. Wife, tell her about your erectile dysfunction, George. Husband, allow me to introduce my erectile dysfunction. Her name is Margaret. Sometimes that can be true. It goes either way. You just got that nagging spouse.
That's like a Henny Youngman joke.
So this one here, we'll resize. There we go. This is just a text one. Doctor talking to a client. Do you have guns in your home? Me, I have guns in your office. I feel like we've maybe done that one before, but I always like it. I'm armed right now, Doc. Just wait till you do the turn and cough. There's another one down there. Okay, this one looks worse than it is. Study says that women who have more sex have better developed brains, and then someone responds, this explains feminism. Yeah. I almost took this one out today because I saw the photo. I'm like, okay, well, that's a little provocative. We've got the photo that was there. But then you think of the women who show up at these protests and we're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to let it stand. This works.
People are so funny, man. There's not one wasted word in that joke that person posted on there.
No.
This explains feminism. It's the perfect joke.
Brilliant. It really is. It was the perfect response, perfect joke. We got a hummingbird. Fun fact, the topaz hummingbird is the smallest bird in the world. Gorgeous bird, by the way. If you're listening to the podcast, you're missing out. This thing is a 10 out of 10. Never said that about a bird, but it is. Even though it has the smallest brain in existence, it knows there are only two genders. Fun fact. Okay, just true. This one was during the break. I remember seeing this one come through. We've got a picture of someone who's pulled the emergency slide or raft inside of an airplane. In my defense, the flight attendant said, please familiarize yourself with all of the safety measures aboard the aircraft. And they did. And it was a disaster. Okay, we've got a house with cannons coming out of the windows. Liberals, the Second Amendment doesn't apply to modern weapons. A familiar, lazy, and inaccurate description or take on the issue. Me, okay, we'll do this your way. And they've shoved 5 cannons out their windows. Yeah, I mean, right? I mean, either way, it's... Which was, by the way, was it Beto or was it, I don't know if it was Beto or Joe or both, who were like, you couldn't own a cannon back in the day. Like, well, actually... You could.
Their responses are just so dumb. They're nonsensical, and all they are just vapid talking points for the NPCs that follow them.
Yes, you've worked in NPCs twice today, by the way, at least twice, and I like it. Okay, we've got a protester with a sign: "Exchange each hostage." Talking about overseas in Palestine, who we just gave $404 million more to. Exchange each hostage for 100 pro-Hamas U.S. students. Good for Israel. Good for USA. Good for Hamas. Educational for students. I'm okay with that deal. I'll let it stand. I think it'd be good. Okay, looks inappropriate to start. Still is, but gets better. This is a book cover. How to Live with a Huge Penis. I wouldn't know, but this one is written by Michelle Obama, so that makes sense. I'm tracking now.
Big Mike.
I wonder what the look, I honestly don't know. I know everyone has their takes on it. I don't know if Michelle's a female or a dude. I really don't care, to be honest with you. It just doesn't matter to me in my daily goings about. But I would love to hear, whether she's a dude or she's a she, I would love to see like Michelle scrolling through, seeing all the. I mean, there's so many. There's so many out there. I'm curious what the response is. Like, do you brush it off? Do you laugh at it? Does it just break your heart? Does it devastate you? I'm just really curious, but I don't think we're ever gonna know.
No, I can't see Big Mike doom scrolling right before bed.
Doom scrolling, big. So when you're golfing, right? For me, I haven't played in way too long. I'd like to get back into it. I'd like to just, in general, have a life again. I don't see that happening. But for me, I do. I lose a lot of balls. I'll smack the shit out of it, but I can't promise you where it's going. Like, you're not safe even behind me. Like, there's no one is safe anywhere. So I'll find balls though, and I've got one of those retrievers from the lakes. There's water on all the courses down here in Florida. So I'll get other people who are too lazy to get them, and I'll be like, I don't need to go buy a new package of balls. Like, I'm just gonna get them from the lake here. Anyways, this person has put a message on the golf ball that reads, "If found, give it to your mom. I'll pick it up later." An old school mom joke. Never liked those that much, to be honest, but I did think that was kind of funny. Do you remember during the break, Tom, the whole I think that Kristi Noem has had a really good run. I genuinely and generally do like Kristi Noem. There's some questionable things that have popped up. Her ruling on the NCAA transgender thing years ago in South Dakota hurt her. Obviously, the suggestion of an affair, if that's true, then I've got a much larger problem with her. But I don't know if there's any truth to that or not. And then there was the whole dog thing while we were on the break. That hit her pretty hard, putting down a dog. And this one is a kid at a beach holding a firearm and then sad after allegedly using the firearm. And the caption reads, "Kristi Noem's husband, when she asks him to do her doggy style, he has shot her and is now sad and broken up about it." That cuts to the core right there.
It definitely cuts to the core. You know what the thing with Kristi Noem is? She, during this whole time with the dog, and then her like speaking to her and trying to fix what she had said in the book, she morphed into this weird glam bot. It didn't look like Kristi Noem from like 4 years ago, and it morphed into this weird thing. And then she started appearing in these South Dakota commercials that were just the most cringe thing possible. Did you ever see those?
I did. It's just so weird. Like, they're not the only ones who have done it, but like, I always think it's weird when a city or a state does that. Like, come here. Like, if your place is great, it'll speak for itself. And people will just come there. And you've got a national treasure there in Mount Rushmore. And you've got, like, there's things that people want to go and do in South Dakota. I know the rest of the state is more subdued, and I say that in a good way. But yeah, I thought that was weird too. And here's the thing. When you go that direction and then you go the glam bot way and all these, Kristi Noem is a beautiful woman. She's a strikingly beautiful woman. She's intelligent. Don't do anything. Don't do anything drastic. Just stay the course. You're doing well until you're not. Well, we spoke of dogs there. This is just an idea from someone. We got a dog with a turkey leg and a shoe. Stick a turkey leg in a sneaker and let your dog patrol your yard. It would work. I remember, so we had a house, our last house, was it our last house? Our last house in D.C. before we got out of that hellhole. We had our first husky. And we're in a neighborhood because we're in Capitol Hill. And in Capitol Hill, you'll be in a section where like multiple streets are super nice, everything renovated, rehabbed. And then you'll be on a street where you're going to get murdered. And then the next street over is like a hybrid. And then it gets nice again. You get the point. So I was actually renovating with a buddy some houses in Capitol Hill at the time. And we took one on that we had renovated for ours to use as our home and bought it, and it was on one of the hybrid streets. So our house was literally next to a Section 8 building. Most of the street had been done, but then we had neighbors who would literally be carrying a 40 and a moose head down the street. There's a woman who was always shadow boxing and yelling at the front of our house, like, I don't know what you're saying. Like, your form seems pretty good. You're definitely high. But they would see Bailey, our dog at the time, who was the husky. Huskies are the nicest things ever. They'll just lick you to death and talk to you. Like, they're the worst guard dogs on the planet. But they all thought that this thing was and it was a puppy. She was still a puppy most of the time. Would go out front in your tiny ass row house yard. You know, your yard's like the size of a closet. Just to let her go to the bathroom, and they'd be walking by and be like, "Oh!" like jumping back, like terrified. It's a wolf. Like, no, it's a husky, bro. Like, you could rob my house and murder my family right now, and it would lick you in the face. Like, you're fine. It's not going to hurt you. But the dog leg thing is good. Okay, we talked about Palestine and Hamas earlier. We've got a lot of people who are supporting them. They even raided the congressional baseball game the other day. Was that yesterday?
Yeah, it was last night.
Freaking these people. Gosh, these kids are so useless. But they all think that they're on the right side of history by supporting Hamas and supporting Palestine. And here's how it goes for them if they were to actually go over there. We've got a blue-haired female being thrown from the top of a building. And we laugh about it because it's hilarious and true, but it's so true. Like, that is what they will do to you. You see people like, I'm going to go support them and join them, and then they see you as a threat because you're a Westerner and you're a white-skinned male or female coming in, and you know what they do? They murder you. It's just, this is reality.
Yeah, well, they've been indoctrinated so much with this victim-oppressor mentality that they view, the Palestinians as having, darker skin, so therefore they're more oppressed, and they see Israelis or Jewish people as white. So to them, it's like, my default is to err on the side of the Palestinians, just because it's a race thing now.
Right.
Not understanding the ideology.
Yeah. Nope. We've got a Forrest Gump image here. Forrest, if I die, don't let me vote for Biden. Just kind of run-of-the-mill. If you're dead, you vote Democrat, kind of a meme. Okay. Moving on to the next one. Oh, we've had a lot of stuff with Boeing going on. We got a Boeing jet painted in the pride colors. Boeing jets come out as trans safe. They're not safe, but they identify as safe. That's the way of the world. Like, oh, all right, well, you can't question it then. I mean, clearly they're good. Did your plane, when you flew back up to your current location, look that way, Tom?
No, unfortunately, it did not. It was an Airbus.
Okay. All right. So, but the good news is you made it there safe with all your wings. I mean, literally the stories now are like the end of Hot Shots Part 1 when Topper is coming in to land on the carrier. Lost a wing. Looking good. There goes the other. Call the ball. Like,
yeah, it's either something goes wrong with the airplane or there's some Nephilim passenger on there that creates a disturbance and then becomes viral.
Right. Now, you leave Tiffany Gomez out your mouth.
She's the OG Nephilim passenger.
She is. And whatever. I give her a pass. But there's a lot of them. Okay, if Kamala Harris were a sign, notice we got a sign on a restaurant door. Notice the patio is currently not open because it is closed. You can totally hear her or anyone like her saying that.
Now the patio is not open because it's closed. If it were open, then the patio wouldn't be closed.
I was gonna say, add the cackle. You had the good shoulder movement too. Like that was spot on. This is just true. Like we're just gonna drop some wisdom on you here, guys. if you're a guy and you're having a bad day, just remember no one really cares. And, well, that maybe shouldn't be true. It most certainly is. This is also true. This is a Babylon Bee headline. Study shows kids who are homeschooled could miss out on an opportunity to be a gay communist. Yeah. Hey, there's a reason we homeschool our kids. There is. And it's great because they love our country. They love Jesus. They love our family. They're, good, upstanding people. Disco. Disco is a good cat. I like Disco. But I didn't expect to learn something from Disco outside of production. And he, son of a bitch, taught me this the day I saw this meme. And it was literally, I was that day old when I found out. I shared this on Facebook. Some of you guys saw this, but now you're seeing it here again. How old were you when you found out these lines on a Solo Cup are actually measurements? I had no idea. Were you aware of that, Tom?
No, only from the meme. I had no idea.
It's astonishing. And our DB cups that we have here in the studio have the same things. Like I know when I've overpoured a beverage. It's like, this is a serving. Oh, that's or more. But this one's just simple, but I thought kind of funny. It's a picture of a dinosaur. When you grow up, people stop asking you what your favorite dinosaur is. They don't even care. Also just true. You can't be in that spot forever. We got a Batman and Robin one. Batman slapping the shit out of Robin. I stand with Ukraine. No, we're gay this month because it's June, and for some reason Batman's headdress there is pink. That's just how it was. This one's a little misogynist, but this is my show, and we just do whatever we want around here, so we're going to do it. Fun fact, someone digging for bones. A majority of archaeologists are women due to their natural ability to dig up the past. I mean, it's funny.
True.
It's true. It's true. There's another great one about airline pilots, I think, at some point. If you've ever had your ass beat with one of these, then you're not a they, them. Also true. We got a spatula, a wooden spoon, a belt, a ruler, a sandal, or flip-flop, a hand. Is that a branch or a twig over there? I don't know.
A switch.
It's a switch, yes. Like Adrian Peterson did with his kids, which, again, he deserved it, okay? That kid deserved it. The things that are actually going to get us taken off of YouTube. One of my favorite people, Tom's too. Tom thinks that Sammy Hagar is way better than David Lee Roth.
God.
Sammy Hagar is 70 years old on the left. He's actually older than that now. This is an older one. Bill Clinton is 71 years old. He's on the right. Looks like he's literally a dead body in a mortuary. Sammy's had over 40-plus years of alcohol, drug, sex, rock and roll. Bill lives with Hillary. It's remarkable to me how good, I know you're a David Lee Roth guy. It's remarkable to me how good Sammy Hagar looks in his 70s, now late 70s.
Yeah, he looks fantastic. And plus, he's out touring still. It's everyone be like Sammy Hagar. This is also just good wisdom. This store took it to the next level to warn shoplifters. We've got a sign on a wall. This is your butthole, and it's a normal black oval. This is your butthole in prison. It is very much so expanded, and then they left the warning, don't shoplift. Graphic. Obviously, that sign's not in California.
No, where it's encouraged. Please do not steal more than $1,800 worth of merchandise.
If you do, shame on you. Don't do it again.
Yes. At least until the law changes and it's bumped up. Speaking of law, since nobody reads 5,000-page bills, let's slip in term limits. I'm totally in favor of that. Why don't we play their game the way they play the game? They stuff pork in there. They make a bill that should be one page or this small, this big. Why don't we put stuff in there?
Elon Musk is talking about using AI, the Grok, to be able to read all these giant 5,000-page bills and distill everything down. And I think that would be like one of the greatest uses of AI ever.
It would be amazing. It would be absolutely amazing. I'm all for it. Although I will say this, Grok can get some things horribly wrong, but any kind of help to just make it easier to be like, here are the big points, that would be freaking outstanding. Here's the one I referenced earlier. This is I think this is a Babylon Bee thing. It shows a female pilot in the cockpit. Panic erupts on flight as captain of female crew announces that, quote, everything's fine. You don't want to hear those words. I'm just tired.
No.
Tired. I don't know who made this, but Steve Dace shared it. Me trying to find something that isn't gay in 2024, and you've got someone trying to navigate a hallway full of laser beams, kind of like Catherine Zeta-Jones did in that movie with Sean Connery. I don't remember what that was called. We miss you too, Sean Connery. But that's true. I mean, that's pretty much everything is. We've got an elderly man. I did some financial planning, and it looks like I can retire at 97 and live comfortably for 11 minutes.
Totally true.
Yeah. Again, just sharing the truth here. We got a picture of a margarita. It's called work from home coffee. It's just like normal coffee, but it has margarita in it and also no coffee. I mean, some days just call for that. Some days just do. If you're anti-gun, you don't get to celebrate the 4th of July. You never would have fought back. Enjoy Pride Month, pussy.
Sorry, Krista.
Sorry, Krista. But it's you know, I looked at that one again this morning. I reviewed most of the memes today, and I was like, okay, like, this one goes a little hard to the hoop. But I also agree with the sentiment. Like, if you don't like our country and you're anti all of our constitutional freedoms, then you're kind of those things. Maybe I would have said it a little bit lighter, but that's, again, I let it stand. And then also, sorry for this one, Krista, too. Krista's amazing. Krista's, I said it before, one of my favorite people on the planet, so she's in her own category. But this does apply to some women. This is another misogynistic meme here, some would say. The front of a liquor store, we've got all of the, like, parking, beams that, like, prevent you from running into the store bent over. And then someone commented, at least they're being responsible and sending their wives instead of drinking and driving.
Again, people are funny, man. There's not one wasted word in that joke.
There's not. I mean, it's not. I mean, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. This one is something. We've got 4 pictures. A doctor, someone bent over a table, just in normal annual check. During this prostate, or not normal, this is prostate exam. Sorry. During this prostate exam, maybe my doctor's appointments are not normal. During this prostate exam, please try not to get an erection, Dave. The patient says, "My name is Steve." The doctor responds, "Yeah, I know. My name is Dave." My mom's probably watching this episode. 1987, this is your brain on drugs. We got an egg in a frying pan. We all remember that. Also, the Twins won the World Series that year, and a slew of great movies came out, many of them postered on the wall here in the studio. 2023, you can't afford the egg. The gas stove is being outlawed. The only thing you can get is the drugs. That's just true. Yeah. I mean, that's like a headline. It's not even a joke. It's really sad state that we're in. Is this, Dave Chappelle... When the cashier asks if you want to donate to the poor, he responds, "I am poor, bitch." We're all feeling it. Bidenflation's hitting everyone. We've all seen this joke a lot. We've referenced it multiple times here. Biden started out as Jill and Joe Biden started out as the babysitter, ended up as the babysitter. True. She looks at him with such adoration now, knowing she's got to change his diaper later in the evening. Got to be tough. Here's a Florida one. Please remember, it's a message to Floridians. Please remember, drink lots of water and stay indoors between 11 a.m. and November 1st. I mean, it's hot. It has gotten really hot here. I drove home the other day from the studio. My car said it was 102.
Did you turn on the AC or you just let yourself sweat?
No, I did. But it was so damn hot that like I had the butt cushion air conditioning thing going. I had the regular one going. It still was just super hot. And I was on a phone call because it's like one of the only times I have to actually talk to people. And so you kind of turn the air down, right? So you can not have it blowing in the phone. And yeah, so that happened, and it never really caught up. It never was good. Do we have any more? Yeah? Looks like.
Did you get the ones I sent this morning?
I don't know.
Oh,
maybe.
I don't know. There's something going on because I attached you on the email as well, and I sent them to.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't see it. It didn't come through. It looks like Krista's got some more in the TC, in the TriCaster, but we've hit a lot. So if we don't, then we're actually fine. And I'm going to. Are you going to go see Bad Boys? Are you a Bad Boys guy?
Yeah, I'll probably go see it.
Okay. Well, we've got a great. So one of the people who I won't say names works with us has sent in a bunch of great ones too. We've got our list is expanding, but we're still catching up from 2.5 months or however long it was that we were on break. So we'll call it for today. We've got plenty to save. We've got plenty more. You guys can continue to send them in if you want. Producer@redbeachmedia.com, and we've got plenty that we'll do next week. Krista, great job today. Tom, great job today. I just was here. But like this was fun. It was a great week, guys. We've had so much fun coming back and being with you the last 2 weeks. We're looking forward to being back next week for Monday through Thursday, all the regular days. We hope you have an outstanding weekend. We'll be here Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out. Make sure you give love to our sponsors. They're all listed in the show description. Check out prepperbarnow.com. Get yourself some of those. Those are pretty badass. I think you're going to be glad that you do. And we'll look forward to seeing you on Monday. Be safe, be smart, be free.
Mike Lindell here, and like you, I see our country being destroyed daily. We face massive economic issues, and I can tell you from firsthand experience, there are people in power who threaten the values that have made our country great. Well, I've been a believer in gold and silver for a long time, and I've searched for years for a partner that shares my values. Well, Genesis Gold Group showed me how easy it is to protect your IRA, 401k, or your retirement with gold and silver. Their faith-driven approach to service and stewardship is one that stands out from the rest.
To get your free definitive gold guide and get started learning more about investing in gold and protecting your retirement from uncertain times, visit treasureandtrust.com now. Fill out the basic contact form and a member of the team will be in touch. Again, that's treasureandtrust.com or call 855-625-7760.